Animal Alliance of Canada has been working to amend the Animals for Research Act for over 30 years. Very early on, I was offered a tour of a research facility, and in that tour, I noticed that there was a dog there that had been there for 10 years, and this dog was from a local pound. And so when I got over my shock about that, went back to the office, and that's when we started Project Jessie. And Project Jessie was meant to be a rescue of dogs and cats in pounds that were at risk of going to research. Since then, we've helped thousands of dogs and cats and found them loving homes. We've stood alongside pet owners like Lori Bishop, whose own dog, Royal, was lost and sold to research. Thanks to decades of advocacy, public awareness is growing and growing. We know that science and ethics are on our side. There's pressure building for change in this area, but there's still a long way to go. People believe that our companion animals deserve protection.
Our human-animal relationships carry moral obligations. When we hand them over to research labs and use them as test subjects, we utterly disregard those obligations. Using dogs and cats in research is the ultimate betrayal in the trust that these animals place in us. Success for this campaign means no cat or dog should ever be sold to a research lab. Selling dogs and cats to research would be banned for good in any province. We will not stop until we achieve that, but to get there, we're going to need everyone's help.
It's been 24 years now since Royal went missing. He brought a lot of joy to my life, and when I got him as a puppy, it was at a time in my life that he really helped me get through some things, and yeah, he was just like a family member. I was away, so I wasn't at home when he went missing. My then husband and child were at home, and they did what they could to try and find him before they told me. They didn't know anything. They didn't know what had happened. And when I did find out, of course, it was extremely devastating. I started calling the Artica canine at the time. What I started to learn was that there were laws in place that if a pet gets found by animal control and they don't find the owner, or the owner doesn't come looking for the dog or the cat, that it can potentially be sold for research. I was told that the animal control thought that he was a feral, dog that had been discarded. It was very confusing to me because I was being told that Royal did not have a collar on, he did not have tags. He did have a collar on. It was a blue collar. He also had a tattoo. He had a breeder's tattoo on his groin. He's a golden retriever, so if there was a puddle out, he laid in the puddle. So I had all the long hair from his legs and his belly cut short. It was clear that he was somebody's pet. Animal Alliance was instrumental in this whole process. If it hadn't been for them, I wouldn't have gotten any answers.
Royal's story is a heartbreaking example of what can happen to lost and strayed dogs and cats in Ontario. What happened to Royal is not an isolated tragedy. It's a risk that every pet owner faces in Ontario because of an outdated law.
In 2022 alone, Canadian research facilities used over 9,000 pet dogs and cats. Ontario is a major part of the problem. Between 2018 and 2022, over 13,000 dogs and cats from Ontario shelters were sent to research labs. If you're wondering how this is even possible, it comes down to Ontario's Animals for Research Act. Ontario is the only province in Canada where shelters are required by law to make unclaimed dogs and cats available to research facilities. Not only is this practice legal, it's mandated here.
These animals cannot consent to what is done to them, which raises serious ethical concerns. Under this legislation, research labs can legally obtain cats and dogs for research once the holding period expires for that animal. When a pet is surrendered to a pound, they can be sold immediately to a research lab. The selling of dogs and cats to research has already been banned in a number of different jurisdictions. Countries like the UK, several in the European Union, and a number of US states have banned this practice for good. Many pounds and shelters in Ontario do not release pets to research, and yet this legislation persists. It's an almost invisible pipeline one that allowed Royal to slip away and continues to funnel pets to research.
I wasn't getting the truth. There was something wrong, missing from the whole story.
Lori's experience shows how broken this system is. If your dog or cat is lost and ends up in the local pound, you might never be notified before it's too late. There's also a loophole category called donated by owner, which appears in the records of thousands of lab animals. It's a vague category that blurs the lines as to where these animals come from. It includes pets who are in clinical trials, but even more troubling is that it allows pets to be picked off streets in their communities. We aren't allowed to know the whole story behind these numbers. There's no public reporting or oversight to hold people accountable.
This lack of transparency means that taxpayers and pet lovers are kept in the dark. People like Lori, who lose their animals, are never allowed to know. They have to fight to try to find out what happened to their pet. Your voice matters. Let your provincially elected representative and the Premier know that you find this unacceptable. We cannot have pets going to research, and you would support them changing the legislation.
I really believe from the bottom of my heart that Royal's story can hopefully protect others. Let's make sure that no one's pets or families have to experience what I experienced.
You can take action today and support the No Pets in Research campaign directly on our website. You'll also find a downloadable package full of resources and information. Share it on social media and with your friends and family. The more people know about this issue, the harder it becomes for it to continue. Each email, shared post, and conversation all contribute to the pressure that we need to build a better system.
Ending the use of dogs and cats in research is a start to an ethical future in science, one where our methods advance human health without betraying our best friends. In fighting for Royal and others, we are affirming our companion animals have moral worth, that science can and must do better. Together we can build a better, kinder future.